If you thought VR gaming was being entirely propped up by Deadpool, Reach and Thief for the last 4 months of 2025, then think again. Today I've pulled together a list of 11 upcoming VR games and experiences that I think are well worth your time and attention. Most, if not all of these games currently have no fixed release date, but I would expect almost all of them, with potentially one big exception, to launch in late 2025 or early 2026. Kicking things off, we have Street Gods, a brand new VR game from Soul Assembly and their first full VR game since Drop Dead the Cabin. Now, I was lucky enough to go hands-on with a build of this one at Gamescom, and let me tell you, this is a sweaty, frantic and rewarding feeling superhero simulator that's offering some incredibly enjoyable combat. In Street Gods, you essentially play as Thor. You're a godlike being with a hammer which you can use to bludgeon, throw, recall, summon lightning, and even use it to teleport all over the arenas you're fighting in as you battle hordes of demons that fill each environment. The game reminded me a huge amount of Until You Fall, a VR favourite for players who want to have fun whilst they work up a sweat, and honestly, Street Gods is nailing it in that department. It feels like a stealth workout wrapped in fun roguelike mechanics and lightning fast combat. Don't sleep on this one, it's shaping up to be a solid addition to the 2025 holiday season. When is the right time to announce your video game? In my opinion, announcements should come pretty close to launch, close enough to build some hype, but not too close that you can't create any kind of momentum. I think in this game's case, Aces of Thunder, the announcement came far too early. The game built up a huge amount of hype in the PSVR2 community in particular, but now I feel like a lot of people have kind of lost some of that momentum and aren't as excited as they were originally because the game has taken so long to release. However, in the defense of the developers, they keep adding, they keep iterating, and this game looks better than ever. And I truly feel that we're now very close to launch. Just this past week, a listing on the PlayStation Store had Aces of Thunder releasing on the 2nd of September for £24.99. That is very soon. That is next week. Let's hope there is some truth behind that date because I can't wait to go hands-on with this. I played a demo a few months back, and although I had a good time with it, my two complaints were really that I needed a tutorial and that I hoped the single player content had more structure to it. And this trailer here confirms a proper campaign with a tutorial. I have played so much Ready or Not in VR. The current UEVR VR mod is fantastic for this particular game, but I'm sorry to say that mod is about to go to sleep. That mod is going in the grave. I'm never touching that mod ever again because what has been crafted right here looks so fantastic and so beyond everything the UEVR mod has been able to offer. This is a true Ready or Not VR experience with manual reloading, proper full body rigs, proper interactions. You can even punch people in this game. I cannot wait. Ready or Not VR mod. Thank you so much, Kit and VR Oasis. Now, at the start of this video, I said that most of these games would probably hit a late 2025 release date, but one of them was almost certainly going to be 2026, and that's because we have almost no information about this game. I had actually forgotten that a Little Nightmares VR game had even been announced, and whilst I was at Gamescom, Reese the King reminded me that this is actually a real thing because I wanted to go and play Little Nightmares 3. Cannot wait to see more about this. Hopefully it's still in development. It's been a bit quiet, but right now we just have this trailer. Little Nightmares VR, Altered Echoes, coming in the future. Tracked was easily the best looking new VR game to come out of the recent VR Games Showcase at the beginning of August. It's a brand new unique IP from Incuvo, developers behind the hugely popular Green Hell VR port, and it seems to be their own take on a story-driven survival adventure built from the ground up for VR. Incuvo certainly have the right credentials to tackle this genre. They did a fantastic job with Green Hell VR and continue to update that game even now, something that a lot of VR devs struggle to do long after launch. So it's exciting to see them branching out and creating something that's wholly unique and entirely theirs. Tracked Shoot to Survive is the full title, drops players into the Canadian tundra and pits them up against the local wildlife, nature itself, and even human enemies that are hell-bent on taking you down. I can't wait to see how this one shakes out, as story-driven survival experiences are up there with my favourite VR genres of all time. Right, most of the games in this video so far have been grim and grimy and a little bit adult. Let's brighten things up for a minute. This is How to God, another game I was lucky enough to go hands-on with at Gamescom. Now, I only had a short demo because I was playing this in between 2 other appointments, but honestly, if I didn't have that second appointment that I needed to get to, I would have sat and played this for hours. It's one of those games where you start playing and time evaporates. I had no idea how long I'd been in there, but I do know that I wanted to spend more time in there. This is Black and White meets Little Cities. It has that cozy city builder, crafter simulation feel to it, but then you are also a god and you rule over the little people that you see in front of you, and you can be a horrible god. You can drown them, you can kill them, you can set them on fire. Probably the biggest VR surprise to come out of Gamescom week was this game right here. Star Trek Infection, a stealth-focused horror game set in the Star Trek universe where you play as a Vulcan aboard a vessel that's being taken over by some kind of infectious life form or hive mind style virus. Now, I was lucky enough to hear about this one a couple of weeks before the announcement, and I went hands-on with a 20-minute long demo in Cologne. This really is a horror game through and through. Although I doubt it will scare tried and tested horror players like myself, it might come as a bit of a surprise to Star Trek fans jumping in hoping for a nice way to immerse themselves into their favourite intellectual property. The ship is dark, the corridors are oppressive. More often than not, you're holding a flashlight in one hand and your tricorder in the other, sneaking towards zombified crew members before putting them down with a Vulcan nerve pinch, or mind melding with another crew member to get a deeper insight into what's happening on the ship. My demo was fairly brief, but it gave me a decent understanding of the type of experience developers Broken Mirror are trying to construct here. It's clear the dev team are passionate about the source material and want to make a game which feels like you're living through your very own episode. However, during my demo I did notice a few UI, interactivity and performance issues that I passed on to the team. Fingers crossed these elements are ironed out before the game launches for Quest and PCVR in late 2025. Following on from their hugely popular VR flight sim Ultra Wings 2, BitPlanet Games have turned their focus towards remote-controlled racing with their next title, Super RC, a racing game that looks like it's absolutely packed full of content. From this initial reveal trailer alone, we can see multiplayer races, an extensive track building feature, the ability to build your own obstacle courses for your RC cars in an immersive VR neighbourhood environment, a full explorable shop area where players can unbox RC cars and take a closer look at them before purchasing. You can even cut open the boxes with a little knife and watch all the packing peanuts go flying. And finally, the ability to piece together and build the RC cars you then purchase. BitPlanet Games have stated that there is much more to show when it comes to Super RC, and having played Ultra Wings 2 extensively, I can absolutely believe it. They are a developer that's committed to filling their games with as much content as possible. So if you're into RC cars or Micro Machine style races, prepare to lose a huge chunk of your life to this new VR game. We don't know a huge amount about this next game other than the fact it looks spooky as all hell. This is Dread Meridian, a brand new survival horror experience that's been built from the ground up for VR, and it looks very good from this first trailer. Dread Meridian puts players into the shoes of Daniela, a woman searching for her lost sister on a frozen island filled with cryptic puzzles, bizarre twisted landscapes, and of course, creepy little goblins, ghouls, and spectres. The whole suite of crazy horror critters are out to stop you from finding out what happened to your sister, and it's up to you to stop them from stopping you uncovering the truth. I could be wrong, but I believe this is a first-time VR experience from this particular developer, and honestly, it's great to see more devs entering the VR space and bringing exciting projects with them. Star Trek Infection is also a first-time VR dev's first project, and I truly hope these games are embraced by the community. We always need new talent and new games to keep us entertained, and Dread Meridian looks mighty entertaining already. I kind of have no idea how to describe this next game. The trailers released so far are like a visceral assault on the senses, and I mean that in the best way possible. This is Exoshock, a PvE co-op shooter that has an incredible crunchy aesthetic, which looks nothing like any other VR title I've ever seen before. In some ways, it actually looks a little bit like a dirty, grimy version of Superhot, with its polygonal characters and environments. But this game couldn't be further from Superhot. Exoshock actually looks like it has more in common with GTFO. It's an intense squad-based FPS that drops players into a war zone filled with enemies and challenges you and your team to get out alive. The game supports up to 4 players and pits you up against adaptive AI that learns from your tactics and counters you if you try the same maneuver too many times. It's an exciting looking and rather mysterious upcoming VR game, and it's slowly moving its way up to the top of my most anticipated games list. I will leave you with a game that looks absolutely incredible today. A brand new title from Apogee Games that started its life as a Doom 2 total conversion mod and then ended up becoming a full-blown standalone game. This is Total Chaos, a monster-filled first-person shooter that sends players on a journey into the heart of Fort Oasis, a wasteland once known for its bustling coal mine community that's now become a twisted, unsettling landscape filled with horrifying creatures, big, small, and ridiculously large. The game is currently scheduled to launch as a flat-screen FPS in Q4 of 2025, with a free VR update landing sometime after launch. If you're eager to see what the game feels like to play right now, then there is a demo available on Steam, but it's worth noting that this demo has no VR functionality. This game really looks like it was tailor-made for me. Creepy monstrosities that I can blow into chunks with over-the-top weaponry, moody dark environments, and slick visuals built around the mechanics and engine of Doom. Sign me up right now. Honestly, this is the kind of game I wish we had more of in VR. Games that are built for flat screen that then gain VR support at some time after launch, games that look polished and detailed flat screen but are then elevated to a whole new level of immersion thanks to virtual reality. Perhaps that comes from the sheer amount of time I spend playing modded content and UE VR experiences, but I've come to love and embrace flat games that work amazingly well in VR despite not having the best VR mechanics. A hybrid future is where I'd love to see VR go. Exciting, built for native VR experiences, living hand in hand with hybrid titles that support optional virtual reality modes. A guy can dream. And that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment down below, and hit subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. I will see you soon for another one. Take care. Peace out.